And welcome back, everybody. We are learning more about last night's shootings on MSU's campus that left 3 students dead, 5 others are critically wounded, and we have learned who's behind the attacks. Fox 2's Jessica Dupnack, live in East Lansing. Jess, you're just doing a great job. I know it's been a really long night, long morning for you, but we appreciate you being there so much and bringing such important information.
Yeah, and really this is a testament not to the media, but really to the law enforcement and the medical professionals that have been literally up all night trying to sort through this mess. I want to get to some breaking information that I was just able to confirm regarding the shooter, who his name is Anthony McCray, and I'll now refer to him as the shooter for the duration of the report, a 43-year-old from Lansing. We're learning a little more about his past. I'm just getting some information from the Michigan Department of Corrections right now about his prior offenses. I guess he has 4 counts between 2006 2008 of driving on a suspended license. Again, a more serious charge in 2019 here in June of 2019 in Lansing. I guess he was found by police heading to a store. He had a weapon on him. He was stopped by police. That weapon was not registered, and he did not have a concealed pistols license to be traveling with that weapon. He did end up pleading guilty to that felony charge and served probation time for that. That just gives a little indication that obviously this shooter has a past with weapons. Now, as far as motive, we have really no indication at this point what his motive, why he chose Michigan State University on February 13th to carry out this attack. It's something and details that both Michigan State Police and the FBI are keeping very close to the vest. But a little recap of what we've been talking about all morning. We are standing here in front of Berkey Hall. That was the initial scene here on campus. That shooter moved a couple doors down to the Union to carry out the rest of the attack. Now, we got an indication from Michigan State Police what it looked like on the ground when that call went out shortly after 8 o'clock. Let's take a listen to the Deputy Chief of Michigan State University Police.
There was a absolutely overwhelming police response to that initial call. We had officers in that building within minutes, and in that building they encountered several students who were injured. We can confirm that 2 of the deceased were in Berkey Hall.
We now know the 8 victims, all students here at Michigan State University. 3 of them sadly found dead. The other 5 students were taken to Sparrow Hospital in nearby Lansing from where we are here on campus. They remain in critical condition. As far as a prognosis for those students, we have not gotten that yet, but we are expected to learn the names of all of the victims involved as long as family has been notified. But just a very calm, quiet scene here on campus. University will be closed or on modified operations for the next 2 days, then classes canceled until Monday. But sort of rewinding back to last night, being here really throughout the night, just an amazing law enforcement response here. Hundreds of officers from across the state ascended here in East Lansing. It was that response and really a testament to the students and the folks here in the East Lansing area. It was a tip that led to the shooter. As police moved in on the shooter, he, of course, as we've been reported, shot himself and was found deceased. But again, we were just learning, and we talked about at the top there, that this shooter does have a prior history, driving on a suspended license, but also a more serious charge of a felony firearm charge. He was caught with a weapon in 2019 in Lansing and was later charged and served probationary time. But we will hopefully learn more about motive, because I think that's really a big question, aside from, of course, all of the thoughts and prayers for this community, is the question why, and we're left hanging with that as of this morning. Send it back to you guys.
Hey, Jessica, a question for you. As we were listening to police scanner traffic last night, and calls were coming in fast and furious of reports of gunfire, reports of somebody banging on a door, how does law enforcement create a perimeter, or how do they sweep all these buildings? We know there are hundreds of buildings on campus, and some of these old buildings filled with all kinds of nooks and crannies. So what is the approach when it comes to searching for a gunman on the loose in such a vast area?
Oh yeah, Dina, you're familiar with campus. We're talking about 400 buildings here on campus alone, not to mention, obviously, this is a metropolitan area in East Lansing and Lansing. The sad part about all of this is these officers are extremely well trained in searching for shooters because it has become so commonplace. This is regular part of police training. I know we talked to Sheriff Michael Bouchard yesterday, last night, and he was sending all his resources up there, thermal drones to search for a suspect. But really, I think in this situation, what would help is just having an immense police presence on the ground, scouring, looking, and not to mention, and I have to give it to Michigan State University Police, and I've yet to see something like this. They were so quick to get a suspect picture out, keep the media informed, and it was all over social media. That image we saw, the shooter with the red shoes and the hat and the jean jacket, and it was ultimately someone who spotted the shooter, called police, and they moved in. But a terrifying 4 hours. Again, I don't need to tell you, but just a terrifying 4 hours here in and around campus.
Hey, Jessica, I wanted to ask about a search warrant. Reportedly, there was a search performed on a residence last night. Was that the shooter's residence, do we know? What do we know about that?
Sources are telling me that that was the shooter's home. We did some tracing back in the newsroom, and it does appear that he is obviously a Lansing resident. The facts do sort of trace up, although we have yet to hear that publicly from police. My sources are telling me that that is, in fact, his house. There was one weapon recovered, but he did have a backpack on him, according to sources, last night. So we've seen in other mass shootings the possibility of more weapons or ammunition that he came to carry out that attack. Although that has not been confirmed publicly, we do know at least confirmed one weapon was recovered from the shooter.
Jessica, I wanted to ask you, while I'm listening to scanner traffic last night, and then of course you have students who are trying to be helpful and have heard a tip and they think that they've spotted someone. You've spoken about the brilliant work that police have done out there and just how many officers, how wide of a scale this was. But I'm wondering, what do those tips mean? How do they process those, determine whether or not it's something they should move on, and maybe they're, close to finding someone and then they get a tip and they go somewhere else? They're having to filter all of this in real time.
Absolutely, and that's a really good point. And we heard the deputy chief of Michigan State University Police touch on that, talking about you can't believe everything you see on social media. And we know that these kids, 18, 19, 20 years old, they're all over social media. And we know how fast that spreads. So not only are police looking for the shooter, they're also having to sift through all of the rumors and all of that. And then, you can't not check it, because that could be the tip that leads to the shooter. So it's an incredible job by law enforcement last night, and especially, as I've said before in the reporting, the context of the situation, it's just such a massive undertaking. In the past, we've seen shootings contained to a store or one specific building in a school. This scope was incredible.
Jess, thank you again for all your reporting out there. And we know, as being at your alma mater, this has got to be a tough assignment for you, but we appreciate your perspective so much. We will let you go and try and find out more information, and we'll take a quick break. Thanks, Jess.